Hey, happy Monday to you, Facebook friends. And those outside of Facebook, this is Momentum Monday. It's just a quick little bite for us to start our week off together. And so today I'm super excited to share with you something that God's really been stirring within me. And, this is really an interesting season, and I really believe we're in this bridge season and in December here as we cross over into a new decade, really. Good morning, Dan. Good morning, Rebecca. We say happy Monday to you. And so we're crossing over into 2020. And there's just been so many words about 2020, but it's interesting because we're entering a new decade, both on the Hebrew calendar, of course, and on the Gregorian calendar, which we use here in America and follow. And I've heard many people say that this is the decade of the mouth. And so really declaring and being particular about what's coming out of our mouth and what we're declaring. But what's fascinating is I believe this is a season of refiner's fire for many of God's people and God's anointed. And I don't know about you, I can speak personally to that in my own life, that these last several weeks have been such a refining season, and the heat has been turned up, right? Anybody with me? Anybody feel like the heat has been turned up? Yes, the refiner's fire is here as we cross over into a new decade and a new era, and it's really God's kindness. It's God's kindness that turns up the furnace of affliction in many ways, because really the only ropes that burn off are those that bind us, right? That's when that gold and silver goes through the refiner's fire, that dross is raised to the surface, and really all of the impurities come out. And so really we rejoice in these things because it's God's kindness and goodness that allow us to walk through these things. And so, I echo Paul when Paul said, I can't remember where he said this, but he said, I am the chief of sinners. And, I think there's just seasons that the Lord brings you back to your personal testimony. And not that we sit in that or feel condemnation or shame, but there's just these really humbling moments where you go back to those years and you think, yep, I can attest to what Paul's saying. I am the chief of sinners. I have been saved of much. And so I've been thinking on some of these things and reflecting on some of these things of where God has brought me. And as I was reading 1 Peter 2, I'm going to read that to you today because I want to remind you of who you are. So we're going to look at 1 Peter 2:9. But you are a chosen people, a royal priesthood, a holy nation, a people belonging to God, that you may declare the praises of him who called you out of darkness into his wonderful light. And so we all rejoice in that moment where we were once in darkness, and he literally rescued us, Colossians says, rescued us from the dominion of darkness and placed us in his marvelous light. But this is actually what I want to talk about today, because this verse leaped off the page at me. Once you were not a people, but now you are the people of God. Listen to this. Once you had not received mercy, but now you have received mercy. So I'm reading in 1 Peter, thinking about these days, like Paul, hey, I'm the chief of sinners. I can totally relate to Paul when he says that. And he rescued me out of the dominion of darkness. He set me forth into his marvelous light, as Colossians says. And he gave mercy to me. And so, I don't know about you, but I always get mixed up grace and mercy, grace and mercy. And so I kind of started studying that. And I wanted to share with you this morning the definition of mercy. It's this Greek word ilios, which I absolutely love. But I want you to catch all of this. The word has often been inadequately defined merely as clemency or forgiveness, holding back deserved punishment or affliction. Actually, listen to this. Eleo means to relieve affliction, alleviate suffering or distress, and to ease misery. It is the concrete expression of pity and compassion for the destitute or those in misery, which undertakes to mollify or remove their suffering. It's used of the relieving of debts, of the relieving of sickness and physical maladies, healing. It is used especially to signify God's salvation, in which he acts to reverse the adverse effects of sin and to relieve sinners of their moral and spiritual wretchedness. All that he accomplishes in delivering them from the miserable and pitiful, though deserved, condition of sin, guilt, and death. And so what I love about mercy is mercy literally removes what we deserve. And when we look at this Greek word eleos, which I was being funny last week, I was like, if I was a tattoo person, I would totally get this. I'm not a tattoo person, not really for any spiritual convictions, but mostly because I'm in my 40s. My skin's getting wrinklier, okay? Like, I'm pretty sure in a few years it would be questionable if you could read this new tattoo that I would get. So, eleos, mercy, okay? And so what I love about this, and I just sit back and think of my own prodigal years, arrogant, thought I knew everything, and all of this sin that I engaged in. And see, what God is saying here with mercy is he doesn't just save us, but he literally rescues us from the consequences of sin. Because when you look at even generational curses, like the sin that I engaged in naturally comes upon my children. That's what a generational curse is. But you see, because of God's great mercy, not only does he save us, we ask Jesus in our heart, we receive all those things. He literally rescues us from the consequences of sin. And mercy says, hey, you deserve this. You deserve generational curses to go through your family. You deserve to go to jail. You deserve maybe to have an STD. You deserve whatever the sin is, okay? You deserve all these things, but I am going to come and remove those consequences from you because I bore all that on the cross, and my blood literally cancels those things. According to Isaiah, reverses the curse. That's what it says. When Jesus died on the cross, the curse was reversed. And so that's what mercy is. I'm also reading through the Bible. I was reading about Joseph today, and I want to talk about grace. So mercy is literally removing the consequences that we should have. Grace is that unmerited favor that gives us something in return for removing those. So not just removing the consequences of our sin, not just removing the generational curses, but actually grace comes and gives us life, gives us that abundant life. The thief comes to kill, steal, and destroy, but Jesus comes to give abundant life. So it's not just mercy where God has removed all of these consequences, but it's also grace where I'm going to literally give you unmerited favor, which to me is like mind-blowing because I so don't deserve this, you guys. Like I so don't deserve God's grace and mercy, but he's so precious to give that to us. Real quick, as we close, we are really in this season. About a week ago, we were just really in my living room, pressing into worship and prayer, and I really felt this word in my heart. And how I know I'm supposed to release something globally is it just kind of sticks there, and I feel this poking until it's released. And so I may write it up today, but I really believe where dreamers have come. So like Joseph has these dreams, and he shares these dreams with his brothers. And I've heard some people say Joseph was arrogant in sharing them. I think he was probably just excited, being a dreamer myself. Like, you're just excited, you have these idealistic moments, but not everyone's excited with you. And so Joseph shares these dreams with his brother, and they just mock him, laugh at him. They feel insecure, jealous, competition, probably spirit of religion right there, right? And so they throw him into a pit. We know what happens. But I really believe what the Lord was saying is we are in this bridge season where where those who have been dreamers and even mocked for their dreams are going into their destinies. I really believe that when 2020 hits, it is the year of destiny, just deeper destinies. My prophetic word for 2020, the vision is clear. Which totally plays on the 2020, I know. The vision is clear. And so we are literally going from the dreams that God has placed in your heart. So Rebecca, there's dreams that God has placed in your heart that you have even forgotten about, or like you were so excited in that moment, but so many people were like, that's not real, that's not possible, you're a dreamer. But I'm telling you that in 2020, the dreams that God has placed in your heart, that is really the destiny that he has placed inside of you. So in this hour and in this era, these last couple months, I'm telling you, you guys, hang tight and allow God to do the deeper work in you, because he's refining you, because you're literally going from dreaming to destiny. So I was saying from being a dreamer to a destinier, which I don't even think that's a word. Okay, but I'm telling you, God has placed things inside of your heart, and we call them dreams, and they're not dreams. Out of Jeremiah 1, he places things inside of us. He knows us intimately, and then he places us in our mother's womb. And there's destiny pieces. There's things he's placed inside of you that are going to be radically released in 2020 like never before. But 2019, we're ending this, and it's just this refiner's fire that we're all walking through, and he's burning away these things that bound us and hold our hands, just like Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. When they walked through the fire, the only thing that burned off them were the cords that bound their hands. And I believe as we enter into 2020, that is what God is doing inside of you, because those destinies are getting ready to just, man, they're just getting ready to boom, just pop forth. And all of a sudden you're going to go, wow, this was a dream like forever in my heart. And matter of fact, I've forgotten about this dream because so many people said it's not possible, but God, right? But God says, watch me, watch me. And I really believe in this hour that God is giving destiny, but we're entering this, I shouldn't say entering, I should say, I think we're in the thick of the refiner's fire. But I really believe it's this month in 2020, we are going to just cross over. And the destiny and dreams that he's placed inside of your heart, you're going to watch them come to fruition, and you're just going to stand back like, whoa, he's doing it, right? And so literally going from dreamer to destinier, you will walk in full destiny in 2020. I believe that. Receive his mercy and grace today. So grateful for you. Just really grateful to get to journey with you. Grateful for your heart. I'm grateful for what God's placed inside of you for such a time as this. I love you. I am cheering you on so loud in the spirit. I can cheer on really loud in the spirit. I hope you have an awesome Monday. I bless you, and I bless the destiny God has placed inside of you, even though you've forgotten about it, because defense mechanisms rise up when people laugh at us, right? Just like Joseph. And we forget about him. Joseph went through his whole life. You know, he went to prison. He did all these things. And all of a sudden, one day, he sat with the king, and his brothers came in and bowed down to him. And then he went, oh my word, decades ago, I had that dream. That is so crazy that it's come into fruition. And he even tells his brothers, don't be angry with yourselves. God warranted this because he needed me here. So that's such a beautiful message. I love you. I bless you. Have a great week. We'll see you.